fourth grade. Today we are starting chapter 9 in your Shurley English textbook, and we are going to learn about indirect objects. So open up your textbook to page 270 and read reference 141 to yourself. And then I'm going to explain what it's saying on here. Also, get out a piece of paper so that you can write down these sentences here at the bottom because we are going to classify them. Okay, so the first thing you need to know about indirect objects is that an indirect object is a noun or a pronoun. An indirect object is located between the verb transitive and the direct object. So it's always going to be in between that verb and that direct object. You're going to ask to whom or to what, or you're going to ask for whom or for what. An indirect object is labeled with IO. If it has an indirect object, it is a pattern 3 sentence. The way that you write a pattern 3 sentence is just like this on the screen here, SNVT IO DO P3. And I know that's a lot of information, but this is actually easier than you think. First, we're going to classify a sentence that you're very familiar with. You're used to classifying a sentence like this. It doesn't have a direct object, but I just want to show you, it doesn't have an indirect object, but it's just one that you're used to, so we're going to classify this one first. So it says, Blake bought a sandwich. Who bought a sandwich? Blake. Blake is the subject noun. What is it saying about Blake? What is the action? What did he do? Bought. So that's a verb. Blake bought what? Sandwich. Does sandwich mean the same thing as Blake? No, but it is a noun and it's receiving the action. It's coming after the verb. That means it's a direct object. That means this verb is a verb transitive. The word a, of course, is always an article adjective. And this is just your basic sentence that has a direct object. Now, let's look at a very similar sentence, but it has an extra word in it. It says, Blake bought me a sandwich. Interesting. It's very similar, but not the same. So let's classify this one. Who bought me a sandwich? Blake. Blake is the subject noun, so that's the same. What is being said about Blake? What did he do? Bought. Blake bought what? Well, Blake didn't buy me. Blake bought a sandwich. So sandwich, again, is the direct object. It's a noun. Does it mean the same thing as Blake? No, it does not. So they're not the same. It comes after the verb. It's a direct object. That means we need to make this verb a verb transitive. Blake bought who a sandwich? Or Blake bought a sandwich for whom? The answer is me. It's answering that question, for whom. It comes right between the verb transitive and the direct object. Therefore, it must be the indirect object. IO. You should be able to see how this indirect object comes between the verb transitive and the direct object. It answers the question for whom, and therefore it's an indirect object. The word a, of course, is always an article adjective. We would then classify this sentence as subject, noun, verb transitive, indirect object, direct object, pattern 3. So we would put that right here. The next thing that you need to learn about for this lesson is rules for punctuating quotations. So please turn to page 274 in your textbook and look at reference 142. You can look over that and pause the video. It's a lot of information there, so I'm going to explain it here after you've looked at that on your own. All right, so quotations are words spoken by someone, and quotation marks are used to set off the spoken words. The words set off by quotation marks are called a direct quotation. Explanatory words are the words that explain who is talking, but they are not part of the actual quote. When writers use quotations in a story, it is called dialogue or conversation. There are special rules for punctuation quotation marks, and you can see those 5 rules in reference 142, and I'm going to explain each of them here. So as you can see in this example, we have a quotation. It says, "She likes cheese," John said, but it doesn't have any punctuation like it needs to have. So we're going to go through each of the rules and we're going to add the correct punctuation. Okay, rule 1 says underline end explanatory words and place a period at the end of the explanatory words. So let's do that. Let me pick a different color so we can see it. Okay, so this is these are our explanatory words. John said, so we're going to underline those and we're going to put a period at the end. There we go. Rule 2, place quotation marks at the beginning and end of what is said. All right, "she likes cheese" is what is said, so let's put quotation marks around that. This is still rule 2. For a beginning quote, we have a beginning quote here because it starts with a quote, right? Put a comma, question mark, or exclamation point, but no period after the last word of the quote, but in front of the quotation mark. Use a comma if the quote is a statement. Use a question mark if the quote is a question. Use an exclamation point if the quote is an exclamation and shows strong feeling. "She likes cheese." That's just a regular declaration. It's a statement. So we wouldn't put a period here like we would normally do in a sentence. Since it's a quote, we're going to put a comma here. If it was a question, we would put a question mark. If it was an exclamation, we would put an exclamation point. But since it's just a regular statement, we don't put in a period, we put in a comma. And then rule 3 says capitalize the beginning of a quote and any proper nouns or the pronoun I. So we need to capitalize the word she. We need to capitalize that letter S. So it should be a capital S there. And then rule 4 says punctuate the rest of the sentence by checking for any apostrophes, periods, or commas that may be needed within the sentence. So do we have any other errors here? "She likes cheese." It's a statement, so we have a comma, we have our quotation marks in. We don't see any other errors here. Then rule 5 says use the beginning quotation pattern to check the punctuation of a beginning quote. So that sounds really confusing, but all we do is we follow this pattern. First, let's check our quotation marks. We have them. Check our capital letter. We have it. Then check our end mark. We have it. And then check end quotation marks. We have our end quotation marks. We have underlined our explanatory words. And then we have a period at the end of the whole sentence. So we did everything that we were supposed to. You are going to be doing this on your Classroom Practice 43. Classroom Practice 43 is pretty difficult, so I strongly suggest you doing Classroom Practice 43 with me as I do it for the rest of the video. Just for this one, I would like you to watch the rest of the video to see how to do Classroom Practice 43. Okay, this is classroom practice 43. Exercise 1, classify each sentence. These are really difficult. I don't know why your workbook started with such difficult sentences, so please don't look at these sentences and think that they're all going to be like this. They will not. Your book decided to start with really hard ones. So here's the first one. Dad gave Sheila, Angie, and Todd a ride home after the concert. Who gave Sheila, Angie, and Todd a ride home after the concert? Dad. Dad is the subject noun. What is being said about Dad? What did he do? Gave. Verb. Could be a verb transitive. Dad gave what? Ride. Let's verify the noun. Does ride mean the same as dad? It does not. It comes after the verb. It is a noun. That means it's the direct object. So gave is a verb transitive. Dad gave ride to whom? Remember, to whom is an indirect object question. So when you hear that, it should make you think of an indirect object. Dad gave a ride to Sheila, Angie, and Todd. We actually have 3 indirect objects here. I told you this workbook page was tricky. That means they are compound indirect objects, which is pretty hard to figure out, but we just label them CIO for compound indirect object. CIO and CIO. We know they are indirect objects because look, they come between the verb transitive and the direct object. They are all nouns, and they answer the question, to whom? All right, and the word and we know is always a conjunction, so we can label that C. A is always an article adjective, so we can label that A. Here's a really tricky one. Gave a ride where? Home. Home is actually describing where Dad gave the ride, so it's describing gave. It's describing a verb. That means it's an adverb. After is always a preposition. After what? Concert. It's the object of the preposition. The is an article adjective. Did we get every word? We did. Let's go ahead and write what our pattern is. It is, of course, a pattern 3 because we had indirect objects. So it's SN, verb transitive. Oops. Indirect object, direct object, pattern 3. After the concert is a prepositional phrase, so let's put parentheses around our prepositional phrase. Don't think I can use the same color, but that's okay. Period, statement, declarative sentence. Let's divide the complete subject from the complete predicate. The subject is Dad. It's the only part of the subject. That means the rest of it is the predicate. Gave Sheila, Angie, and Todd a ride home after the concert because it starts with the verb gave. All right, and we are done with that sentence. Sentence 2. Did your mother give you a long lecture about the money? Who did give you a long lecture about the money? The answer is mother. Mother is the subject noun. What is being said about mother? What did she do? Give. Give is the verb. We have another verb here, though. You should have noticed we have another verb, did. It comes before the main verb. That means it's a helping verb. Mother did give what? Lecture. Let's verify the noun. Does lecture mean the same thing as mother? It does not, but it is a noun and it comes after the verb. It is the direct object. That means give is a verb transitive. Mother did give a lecture to whom? To whom? That question should sound familiar. It's an indirect object question. To whom? To you. You is the indirect object. We know that because it answers the question to whom. It's in between the verb transitive and the direct object. Also, it is a noun / pronoun. All right, so we identified our indirect object. What kind of lecture? Long. Long is describing the noun lecture, so it is an adjective. A, of course, is always an article adjective. About is always a preposition. About what? Money, object of the preposition. The word the is always an article adjective. Whose mother? Your mother. Your is possessive and it is describing mother. And it's a pronoun, so it's a possessive pronoun adjective. Let's classify our sentence. SN, verb transitive. IO, direct object. Pattern 3. Question mark, question, interrogative sentence. So let's label it INT for interrogative. It's asking a question. About the money is a prepositional phrase. So let's put parentheses around our prepositional phrase. This is, I don't know why, but when I use the drawing feature, it's kind of getting messed up, but you can tell that's a prepositional phrase. All right, it looks like we have we need to divide the subject from the predicate. And with this one, we actually have to underline, which we haven't done in a while, but we have to do that because it starts with a helping verb. And that helping verb, of course, will be part of the predicate. We want to divide our sentence right here because your mother is the subject. The rest is predicate. Let's single underline your mother because it's the subject, and let's double underline everything in the predicate. Sorry, my double underlining looks terrible. But there you go. All right, that is sentence 2. Let's go ahead and do sentence 3. Sally offered James a glass of punch during the party. This one is not as hard as the other two. I wish your workbook would have started with one like this. You might be able to do this one on your own. Who offered James a glass of punch during the party? The answer is Sally. It's our subject noun. What is being said about Sally? What did she do? Offered. Verb. Sally offered what? Glass. Glass is a direct object. Does it mean the same as Sally? It does not, but it is a noun. It comes after the verb. It's a direct object. That means we need to change the verb to a verb transitive. Sally offered glass to whom? James. It's answering the question to whom. It comes between the verb transitive and the direct object, so that means this must be an indirect object. The word a is always an article adjective. Of is always a preposition. Of what? Of punch. Object of the preposition during the party. During is always a preposition. During what? Party. Object of the preposition. The word the is always an article adjective. Let's put parentheses around our prepositional phrases. Okay, let's go ahead and write our sentence pattern. SNVTIODOP3. We have a period statement, declarative sentence. Divide your subject from your predicate. Sally is the subject. Again, that's like looking weird when I do that. All right, Sally is the subject, and the rest of it is predicate. We know that because here's the verb, and then everything that comes after the verb, including the verb, is the predicate. All right, and we are done with that one. Now let's go on to our skills in editing. This part is actually this is pretty easy, and I think kind of fun, because you just learned what to do with quotation marks, or with quotations, and that's what we're going to do here. So it says exercise 2, use the editing guide to help correct each mistake. So you can use your reference 142, rules for punctuating beginning quotes, while you do this. It says underline the explanatory words. Number 1 has 9 mistakes, 2, 9 mistakes, 3, 8 mistakes. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Make sure you're looking at reference 142 while you do this. All right, according to our rules, we want to first underline any end explanatory words. Miss Evans is reading an exciting book to us, Debbie said. Here is our end explanatory words. Debbie said. All right, so we did the first thing. Rule 2, place quotation marks at the beginning and end of what is said. Again, this is not working right. Okay. The beginning and end. Miss Evans is reading an exciting book to us. Here's the end. For a beginning quote, put a comma, question mark, or exclamation point, no period, after the last word of the quote, but in front of the quotation mark. So here we go. Here's the end of our quote. We can put a comma, an exclamation point, or a question mark. We never put a period here, though. This is a statement. It's declarative, so let's just go ahead and put a comma, never a period. Next, we want to capitalize the beginning of a quote and any proper nouns or the pronoun I. So let's go ahead and capitalize the beginning of the quote. And capitalize the name Evans. And we need to put a period in between Miss and Evans, right? There we go. Miss Evans is reading an exciting book to us. Debbie's, oh, we need to capitalize the name Debbie. And then, of course, we need a period at the end of our sentence. So let's put in the period. All right, let's count if we have everything. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we did everything for that one. Let's go on to number 2. Do you like to skate? Shelley asked Cindy. All right, we need beginning quotation marks. And we need quotation marks at the end of the quote. We need a capital letter to begin the quote. We need to look for any other errors. Do you like to skate? Oh, we see another error. Capitalize the name Shelley. Capitalize the name Cindy. We need to decide what our ending mark is going to be inside the quotation mark. Do you like to skate, Shelley? That's a question. So we don't put a comma here, we put a question mark. And then we need an ending quotation mark for the whole sentence. Do you like to skate, Shelley asked Cindy. So we need a period at the end of that sentence. All right, and let's see if we have everything. We had 9 mistakes in this one. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I see what we missed. Okay. We missed a comma. Because Shelley is a name. We're directly talking to Shelley, so we need a comma before that. Oh, and then of course we need to underline the explanatory words. Now we have everything in number 2. Okay, let's go on to number 3. The baby is finally asleep, whispered Mom tiredly. Okay, let's go through each of the rules here. Let's first underline our explanatory words. Shouted Shauna happily. Next, let's put in our quotation marks. Dad, our cats just had kittens. Let's put a capital letter to begin our quotation. Let's put a comma after the word dad because we're directly addressing dad. Oh, that doesn't look very good. Dad or cat just had kittens. That is going to show a lot of strong emotion, so we're going to put an exclamation point right there. Shouted Shauna happily. Let's fix the name Shauna here. We of course have to capitalize it because it's a proper noun. And then we need a period at the end of our sentence. All right, let's count our mistakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Did I miss one again? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, no, I have them all. Okay, so that was all for number 3. Now let's go to skills and editing number 2. Use the editing guide to help correct each mistake. Underline the explanatory words. All right, let's go ahead and do this one. Let's underline our explanatory word. Let's put in our quotation marks. Let's capitalize the first word. Let's capitalize the name Jeffrey. Jeffries, we need an apostrophe there because it's showing ownership. House to swim, it's a question, so we need to put in a question mark right there. Derek, let's capitalize the name Derek. Let's put a period at the end of our sentence. And let's count our mistakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we have them all. Number 2, yay, my brother made a touchdown. I yelled excitedly. Let's underline our explanatory words. Let's put in our quotation marks. Let's capitalize the first word. We have actually an interjection here, so we need to put an exclamation point right there, and then we need to capitalize the word my as well because it'll be the start of another sentence. And then let's put an exclamation point again at the end of this sentence. Yay, my brother made a touchdown. We have to capitalize. Yelled excitedly, we need a period at the end of our sentence. Okay, let's count our mistakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have them all. Okay, number 3, the baby is finally asleep, whispered Mom tiredly. Let's underline our explanatory words. Let's put in our quotation marks. Let's capitalize the first word. The baby is finally asleep. Well, this is a statement, so we need a comma here. We need to capitalize the word mom because we're using the word mom as a proper noun. And we need a period at the end of the sentence. Let's count our mistakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have them all. Okay, that is the end. That was really hard. You should be proud of yourself.